Hey folks, it's Craig from the Vinyl Record Player. Today we're talking record collecting and really the linchpins of my philosophy behind it. Stick around. Okay, and welcome back. I thought I'd do a quick video kind of about the philosophy of the way I collect records, just because different people do different stuff, and I just kind of wanted to give people kind of an idea of what they would see on this channel. Now, first of all, I will say that I'm very period focused. I do tend to like records anywhere from about 62 to maybe about 78 if I'm really broadening it. If I'm really talking, this is where all my great records come from. I'm usually talking about 65 to 75. Now that's not always the case, and I do get new records now and again, but typically it's about older records that are classics or are hard to find, etc., etc. The reason why this also works for me is because cheapness. Often you can get all of these records used. Big philosophy, big part of this channel is that I'm trying to not spend more than $10 per record, which puts me out of line for a lot of records. New issues, this is the wrong channel for new issues. This is the wrong channel for reissues. I'm not an audiophile. I'm a cheap dude who likes good music. Let me also note another additional point. There are many channels you can watch where dudes have walls and walls and walls of records. I live in a big city, and I don't have a giant home with a basement. So as a result, I only have so much space for records. So I'm working with anywhere between, I would say, 300 or 400 records at a time. The reason why that works for me is because it meets all my needs. I mean, effectively, it would be hard to listen to more than 400 records every single year. You'd have to have records on at all hours of the day, et cetera, et cetera. These guys who have 10,000 plus records, even the greats of the genre, like your Vinyl Richie and your Maslov. Maslov has 1 trillion records. Does he ever actually listen to every single one? It's impossible. My sense about collecting records comes down to I want the best records available, but I also want, to not spend $30 per record. I love, crate shopping. So typically I will go, to a record store and I will, dive, through the crates as it were, as opposed to picking up something on eBay. Additionally, another point. So what I'm talking about is records will go into my collection and records will go out. Bad records, I don't tend to keep around for very long. I see we have a guest in the video. This is an unannounced guest. But bad records don't stick around. I don't like records that I'm even thinking about skipping some of the tracks. Those tend to last very short period in my collection. I don't typically buy greatest hits, but I love live albums. That's kind of where I'm at. So it's a lot really to, I guess in terms of a philosophy, but what it really breaks down to is I'm looking for records that are cheap, often hard to find, even better, kind of a third sort of strike, and I guess the record is not out, it in fact would be in, is if that is hard to find on streaming. I have YouTube Music. I have the free Spotify, and certainly if there's a scenario where a record isn't available on those services and I know they're good, I will seek out those kind of records. A lot of records are available as the full album play on YouTube. I don't tend to count that as much because you can't really listen to individual tracks, etc., etc. It's just not as nice. But I will say, if something is not available on YouTube, like via the whole album, that's even better. I'm even more interested in that record because clearly somebody still owns the copyright and they're like, no, don't allow this record. Those are the kind of records that I'm like, hey, I have access to this music. No one else does. Those I think is that truly is where the value in collecting comes. Anyway, I probably might throw the cat back too. I got to be real. At any rate, so I just thought I'd go through a couple example records just to sort of explain my process. Now, I just got music for Big Pink from a friend of mine. This is the kind of record, can I get it on streaming? I can get it on streaming night and day. I got this free from a friend of mine, so great. It's in very decent sort of condition. And this is like such a classic record that it's like, I kind of almost have to have it. Available on streaming. Can I play it at any time I want? Yes. But again, great record. I'll keep it. This is Jerry Butler's The Sagittarius Movement. Now, this is not available on streaming services. I don't know what it is with Mercury Records, but this is a record that, in order to hear it full on, there may be a YouTube clip that has the full album, but in the end, I happen to love Jerry Butler in that particular period, so I will pick up a record like this, which may have a YouTube clip going, but and maybe you can search out individual tracks on YouTube, but you go to Spotify or you go to YouTube Music and they're like, we don't know what that is. This is an album from 1970, I think it's 78. It's called More Sex and More Soul by Roy C. Now, this is your classic example of an album that nobody has. This is not on YouTube. There may be some tracks, but I don't think it's complete. So you can't hear all of the tracks for this album. So this is a perfect keeper. It's just a hard record to find. So when I see this kind of thing in the wild, I'm like, boom, I got to get that one. This one, on the other hand, God just got this in the wild. This is Paul Kelly's Stealing in the Name of the Lord. Super uncommon record to see in the wild. I'm almost thinking about tossing this one, to be honest, because it's got this brutal skip. And obviously, skips I hate. But if something is in reasonable condition and I can use it, I'm certainly, like I say, with my price constraints, sometimes I'm like, well, I'll buy that record just because, it's a shock to find it in the wild. And, sometimes if the condition is not great, well, I can clean it up. And as long as the record isn't, so terrible, then, it's usually the kind of record that I'll keep. Another one that I just found a copy, and I didn't actually bring it out here for this, but I did find a copy of I Never Loved a Man the Way That I Love You by Aretha. Now, it is an old original pressing record, but I got it for $5, and after a cleanup, it's cracking, it's popping, but that, to me, kind of adds to the experience. And frankly, the cover is just in like this phenomenal, crazy condition. I'm like, I can't even believe it. This record is from '67, and it's just in incredible condition. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give an idea of my philosophy towards record collecting. In case you're somebody who comes by and you're like, oh man, new records are what I'm all about. This channel is just going to have none of that. Analog repress. No, I am not going to spend $300 on a record. That's just not me. People want to do that, they can do that all day and night. That's their thing. But my thing is I try to keep things under 10 if I can. Obviously, that's a moving target these days because with inflation, with other people realizing, oh, people like vinyl, and all of a sudden I'm seeing all these videos where people are like, I couldn't find anything under $20, or I found a piece of trash that was ripped up and somebody had taken a dump on it and it was $15. It's like, or it was $28. It's like there are a lot of people who are trying to profit from the popularity of records these days. That type of stuff I just avoid like the plague. I'll just move on. There's just really no point in dealing with folks like that. So anyway, hopefully this explains the philosophy surrounding this channel. Sum it up, a lot of 60s and 70s record on this channel. I just like the sound and I like the production of that era. Try to keep it under 10 bucks. I'm willing to go the distance for certain records, and also reissues and newer records I tend to avoid, because as you probably know, those can go anywhere between $30, $50, $70 US, and that's just not my thing. So at any rate, thanks for watching the video. Like and subscribe. I mean, if you're still here listening to me, jam it out. Let's chat. I'm always the comments are cool because you get to reply and talk to folks. At any rate, this has been the Vinyl Record Player talking about my collecting philosophy. Have a good one.